Our studies in organic chemistry are made possible by the discoveries of those who went before us. We hear their names attached to reactions and reagents and theories. We read about the Nobel Prizes they won and the ways in which they've contributed to life as we know it. But who are these people?
According to Dr. Jakob Magolan, most of them were German chemists about 100 years ago. Today we investigate both the nationality and the history of a few of these chemical giants. To begin with, let's start with Fischer. We deal with the Fischer projection and the Fischer esterification reaction. These can be attributed to the same man, Hermann Emil Fischer, recipient of the 1902 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, who was a German chemist about 100 years ago.
This Fischer is not to be confused with Franz Joseph Emil Fischer, inventor of the Fischer-Tropsch process and the Fischer assay, who was a German chemist about 100 years ago.
Or Ernst Gottfried Fischer, who established a system for the equivalent weights of acid and bases, a German chemist about 200 years ago.
Ernst Otto Fischer, recipient of the 1973 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, a German chemist about 40 years ago.
Hans Fischer, who made key discoveries concerning pyrroles and pigments, a German chemist about 70 years ago.
Or Edmund Fischer, a Swiss chemist about 20 years ago, co-discoverer of the Krebs cycle. Now that you've got all the Fischers straight, the Hoffmans will be easy. Some of them have 2 Fs, some of them have 2 Ns, but all of them made important contributions.
August Wilhelm von Hofmann, famed for the Hofmann elimination and rearrangement, was a German chemist about 150 years ago.
Fritz Hoffmann, a pioneer in synthetic rubber, was a German chemist about 100 years ago.
And Felix Hoffmann, responsible for both aspirin and heroin, was a German chemist about 120 years ago. A few names that may sound familiar.
Rainer Ludwig Claisen, discoverer of the Claisen condensation, and Walter Diekmann, discoverer of the very similar Diekmann cyclization, were both German chemists about 100 years ago.
And let's not forget Messrs. Carl von Hell, Jakob Volhard, and Nikolai Zelinsky, co-discoverers of the reaction that bears their name. While von Hell and Volhard were German chemists about 100 years ago, Zelinsky was a Russian chemist about 90 years ago. He didn't quite fit in.